Amir, how are you?
Hey, Adam, thank you very much for joining. Hi, people from all over the world. Good morning, good evening. Welcome to another session live with Hype. And we have Adam Jones today from VICI. How do you pronounce the name of the startup?
You got it perfect the first time.
VICI. So we're going to talk about fan engagement application or platform. We're going to talk about how a brilliant startup and with a very strong team has been able to cope in this new reality we live in. And usually the guests or the people that are joining this I would say session are either brands, clubs, federations, which are interested to hear what's new in the space of sports tech, what new platforms can bring new value to them. And also there are a lot of startups. And some of them also now are registering for our new program, the GVA2, which is about a fast track to being able to do a pilot with brands and clubs and federations. So I believe we can start by your own story, Adam. Maybe you want to share a little bit about, first of all, what is VICI doing so people can relate to that, and then, how did you start it, and what are the key milestones that brought you to date?
Sure. So thanks for having me, Amir. Always happy to spread the word a little bit about what we're up to with at VICI with our product FanFest. So in a nutshell, FanFest
just so I can tease our audiences, you already have a pilot with Paris Saint-Germain on the way.
More than pilots, man. We're off to the races.
So that's great. So you're really on the field playing, as they say. Yes, please.
Moving as fast as possible because these are really critical times for the sports industry. Obviously, I think every major league, every major franchise is facing a large revenue hole given the challenges this year with COVID-19 and limited stadium attendance and initially even limited games. And so, we've been moving as fast as possible to kind of rescue the industry, so to speak, by providing them with basically new things, not to just engage, but actually to sell to fans and to generate revenue and to engage their brands. So we call that FanFest. You can really think of it as Shopify, but for virtual experiences. So what we've built is a platform that makes it incredibly easy for, in this case, sports franchises to create virtual experiences that are as branded and as engaging and as premium as the experiences that traditionally happened in their stadium. And not just reach and, again, monetize fans that are in their home market, but actually unlock revenue from fans where they may not have made that much money from before. Again, that's one of the advantages of a virtual experience is for the first time, you can really begin to monetize and increase revenue per fan from fans that are, halfway across the world. And so that's what we've launched with Paris Saint-Germain, as you mentioned. They were our launch partner in August. This was during the Hype Accelerator. And we launched this with Champions League, and honestly, it was a huge success. So, not only did, fans from hundreds of cities around the world at PSG's behest, so PSG invited them to create virtual rooms so they can enjoy the Champions League together as a community. This included their global network of fan clubs, as well as other fans that heard from word of mouth. For each match, quarterfinal, semifinal, the finals, fans would create rooms, invite their friends, invite their family, watch PSG content, and just honestly spend match day together the same way they would do in person. For the final, PSG, FanFest, and Univision, actually in the United States, did a partnership where we actually got the fans on TV. And so not only were fans across the Americas enjoying this virtual experience, they were literally on a TV broadcast in front of 2.5 million people. And then since then, in September, we launched FanFest for the number one ranked football federation, Belgium, the Belgian national team, who have used this same thing throughout the Nations League tournament across Q4. And so to date, we're right up at about 100,000 total minutes watched in FanFest from fans in thousands of cities in hundreds of countries around the world. And I think this is one part that we're most proud of is from the club's perspective, when they share it out and fans land on their FanFest profile page, fans are converting at upwards of 30%, which is just incredible. And so
let's just see that I got it, because that's very, I think, crucial, and it's new, and I think, I want people also to get it. You're offering Paris Saint-Germain, take this as an example, PSG, an opportunity to host their fans in dedicated rooms. And what's happening in this room? How is it? Let's say I'm joining. I'm a season ticket. Well, I need to be a VIP to get this FanFest experience, or any fan can be part of that.
You do need to be a member in Paris Saint-Germain's case, with either one of their fan clubs or a more senior member.
What is the offer?
It's a typical soccer or football membership scheme. So from a kind of out of home, kind of out of market perspective, it runs about, I think, 25, 30 euros a year. In market, obviously, when you have access to the stadium, the prices become much higher.
So what do I get for this?
So FanFest is included. I'd say most of the people that attend were already members. So FanFest was.
What do I get in the room? What is the experience different that watching it with my friends on Facebook, let's say?
You get the face-to-face interactions. You get to actually see your friends, as opposed to you being in like one public room with a bunch of people you know.
I can bring all my friends?
Up to 25 per room. Yeah. So you can invite friends, family, and actually see and talk to each other. It also works perfectly on your computer and your mobile device. So wherever you happen to be.
Talk to each other and see the game.
And see PSG content. We're currently working with rights holders like actually I don't remember the names today.
At the moment, it's a content.
Exactly. It's think of it as like a virtual tailgate almost at this stage.
Virtual what?
Sorry.
Virtual what?
Tailgate, or like whatever the non-American word is for drinking with your friends before sports. Just a place to gather.
Okay, the gathering before the game.
Yep, and then fans stick around during the game too. So the idea is, right now fans have nowhere to go, right? So you can't go to the stadium in many cases. You can't go to bars. I know in Tel Aviv and certainly in Paris. And you shouldn't be going to people's houses given the current health crisis. And so the value proposition here is PSG has created a safe virtual place for their fans to go on match day, where they can see each other, they can cheer together, they can drink together, they can enjoy match day the same way they would.
What was the response? Give us some feedback from the fans, from Paris Saint-Germain. What was the feedback?
Well, we like actions are greater than words. And so that's where we key in on. The feedback's been fantastic, but the actions are even more, I think, fantastic. Fans are sticking around for, we've seen up to 110-minute session lengths, right? It's almost 2 hours.
We have a handy clip you can show about one of those virtual rooms.
I had no idea that was a thing.
Where people can understand what do you mean by a virtual room of gathering before a PSG game.
Yeah, sure. Let me pull up a small video clip. There we go. Looks like I may need to come back, given the permission.
Josh, can we give him a permission to share a screen? Maybe as soon as we get it. So, okay, so that's the virtual room. Yep. And you've done it with PSG and with the Belgium Federation. That's great. So, do you think this is specifically for COVID, or you see this as as something that will stay after when vaccine is in?
Priorities of collecting information and understanding the audience for these team CRMs, these customer relationship management systems, collecting data on the audience, understanding their audience, figuring out how to sell better to their audience. These were all priorities long before COVID ever hit. I think this year with COVID, it accelerated these priorities a lot. But we expect them to remain priorities long after COVID. And so the idea, again, that FanFest has proven to be an excellent tool for getting data from and understanding their audience better than I think any social tool. We're talking like real emails, real names, verified names, location, fans, who they invite, and who's some of your biggest fan influencers.
So let's
not getting from
conversion. What do you mean by conversion?
Yeah, we're seeing upwards of 30% conversion.
What do you mean by conversion?
Fans registering. So when the flow is, let's take PSG, or actually Belgium. They actually did an excellent job. Belgium had actual players, starting team players, recording promotions and pushed out on Instagram saying, come into FanFest. And so when fans saw these calls to action, each team has a profile page on FanFest. And so the conversion rate from hitting that page to registering and entering the virtual live event, right now we're seeing upwards of 30%. And so again, the type of data.
You mean for people joining in to registering officially on the page?
Yes.
One second, let me just put the air conditioner on.
Yep, exactly right.
So I can log into the room without registering?
No.
So what do you mean 30% conversion?
Every team has a profile page that promotes their upcoming virtual live event. Okay. To enter that event, a fan must register. So the teams promote that. They share out that page. They tell you what's going to happen. Hey, come here. Right now,
people logged into the landing page have registered to the room.
Exactly.
Got it. And how, when you speak about FanFest being a tool to generate revenue for the clubs and federation, I'm sure people listening to us asking how, that's great. You have this private room. I can bring my friends, amazing cocktail, virtual cocktail before the game. And you can bring a player, maybe can come in and say hello. It's amazing. How do you step up from that to monetization?
So we already are. It really depends on the team's priority. Right now, we're planning launch with about 10 to 15 new clubs in Q1, where all the experiences are paid. And the price range would range from probably $10 to upwards of $100. And so that's immediate monetization, right? Fan. There's another vector of kind of indirect monetization, which is data, right? So even if the team is not or entity is not charging for the live event, they're still collecting data that they can use for digital remarketing, direct merchandising, et cetera. Things that they can't do on social media.
On Facebook, yeah. Most of the clubs and federations, and I, specifically remember one club in London, and where the CEO told me we have millions of followers on Facebook, but what the hell can I do with a like?
Exactly
and what
right.
You're offering is really a way to convert social fans into real fans, because once you register them on the platform, they are being. Can PSG then transfer them to the CRM of the company?
Absolutely. And that's exactly what Belgium's doing, for instance, just yesterday. Exactly. So it's a way to kind of convert, exactly right, your social audience into actual leads, qualified leads, right? These are your diehard fans. And it's not, just a clarification, it's not just virtual tailgates. We've got one club planning a meet and greet with a legend. Actually, and that the cost for that event is going to be much higher than $10. We've got virtual match day type experience that another club is planning, where it's alternate, like a live feed. So the content inside the room would be a live alternate feed of what's happening in the stadium. So you've got the broadcast, but now you've got an alternate perspective that's just for members. Esports is another area. We've got another club that's thinking about, what if we simulated the match that's about to happen in FIFA 20 or 21. And, two members could compete for a prize in front of the entire fan base. So, there's a lot of different, ultimately, I think the advantage of FanFest is that it's flexible enough for all these scenarios. You want to just create, you want to just create a virtual tailgate room where fans are just creating rooms. It's almost zero touch and they're just watching your content. Cool. You want to drop a player in there? Cool. You want to do an esports tournament? Cool. So every club has different level of resources and effort in terms of how, what they can even accomplish. The key with FanFest is making it all really, really easy. And again, making it actually, the output's actually actionable, right? So data, money, or both.
Great. Now, obviously, the COVID and the new reality we live in was, I would say, played to your favorite, to say the least, where basically you provided solutions that can help clubs, federations really create some special engagement with the fans in these special times. But what actions did you take during the COVID? And we met, I think, back in March already, and during the program, what actions or what kind of decisions you took back in March? Was it anything planned, or it was like fluke, or taking day by day?
My co-founder and I had been banging this drum about helping clubs increase revenue from fans thousands of miles away through digital means for the last couple of years. So we've been thinking about this for a while. But FanFest, the first line of code of FanFest was written in April. and the first, I'd say, the player, fans that hopped on, the first club was Paris Saint-Germain in August during the Champions League. So I'd say April, that time period was a period where we had,
So you approached the program without having any real solution yet. The Accelerator of Hype, without having a real solution yet.
We had a product by June. So we worked very fast.
But the program was March, I think, registration. April.
Yeah, registration, yes. When we were talking with the...
But you registered with an idea.
No, there was a fair amount of code. So I'd say if we registered in March, we were talking about it in March. Yeah, so by the time we got a little farther in April, there was some code. But yeah, man, I was typing away. It was a busy lockdown.
Absolutely. Very fast.
And here we are.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say, and fast forward to now, and fans have spent almost 100,000 minutes on FanFest. So it's been quite a year.
100,000 minutes in a row? How does it go?
Hopefully not in a row.
100,000 minutes altogether.
In terms of aggregate minutes watched by.
Yeah. Correct. How many unique visitors?
We don't report that uniquely, just because of the data from our data agreements with each individual.
Okay. It's just global usage. Okay. Yeah. Now, in terms of the data, do you have any kind of agreements with the club? Are you able to use this data in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, there's broad interest in actually cross promotion. So, right now we're in deal mode, right? But I think most clubs are tremendously interested, for instance, in understanding kind of what else do my fans like? What else do my fans buy, right? And so, and also, who else do my fans know? And so that category of, we don't have a fancy name for it yet, but basically being able to map out who in your fan base are kind of your hyper influencers, right? Who invites the most fans to FanFest? Who's inviting their family and half their family tree? Who's inviting all their college friends, right? And having that data available to them is helpful for, by the way, we've been talking with teams. We're also talking with broadcasters and rights holders. These are really qualified leads, even if they're not subscribers, because they're friends and family of a subscriber. right? Or friends and family of a member of your club. And so that's one way that we've been able to kind of amplify our value for teams on the data side. And then the second piece is, even if, if PSG fans, as we start to work with more NHL and NBA teams, which we're talking to now, some of which are high partners, being able to understand, does my fan also really like the Warriors, or do they really like the Islanders? Is actually one, it's net new information, and two, helps them begin to further target specifically digitally and how clubs merchandise. So I think those are two kind of initial examples.
So Adam, I think the platform, the solution you've created is great, and I think the fact that you're already working with some household names already, that's powerful. But what is the vision? Where are you going to be in 2-3 years time? What is, if I'm an investor and I'm looking at you, who is going to buy this company eventually, if at all? What is the, do you have like a big game that is, you're thinking of?
I go back to where I let off, right? Which is ultimately FanFest. We are not a streaming solution. We are not a typical SaaS solution, a kind of off-the-shelf solution. We really see ourselves as Shopify for virtual experiences today. But I think as augmented reality and virtual reality begin to scale and become more mainstream, virtual products as well. So the same way that Shopify has made it very easy for anyone to start a business and market and sell to people all around the world, physical goods, we see FanFest as the ability to do that with virtual experiences and also just virtual goods, period. And a lot of those underlying technologies are very early today, but as you talk about 5, 10 years from now, we're really encouraged to see a lot of sports. Let's just stay in sports. A lot of sports teams are already playing with AR, right? And how they can already trying to sell AR experiences. There are many hype teams or hype companies, I believe, that are dabbling in the space, right? And so, being able to offer those experiences, again, to fans anywhere in the world, and not just, a dedicated platform each. We believe there'll be a role for a marketplace or a place for teams to create their own marketplace of all these virtual experiences and eventually also virtual goods. I think the crypto collectible space is very interesting. And so we're trying to just get ahead of that. What the current year has done is created, a new openness to the idea of even merchandising virtual experiences. We think that is the beginning of, a long, but also, just large and diverse set of what that actually means. Today, it's a live stream plus your friends and a live. It's very kind of video centric. We think the definition of virtual experiences and virtual goods will expand dramatically over the next decade. And so we want FanFest to be at the heart of that by making it really, really easy. As you know, a lot of sports franchises, this is not their bread and butter. So, but they like money. So if they can make it really easy to create these experiences and push them out, there's an opportunity. And so that's where we come in.
Okay. So basically you're like, if you see the future, you see this platform as a platform for the AR technologies and additional experiences. Everything will be in one place. I'll be able to see, virtual reality, augmented reality, all kinds of new experiences off the team. By the way, there are platforms, correct me if I'm wrong, doing similar things that you do, but they also offer the ability to see the game in the platform, to see you can see the screen of the game, not just the before and after. Mm-hmm. How do you go about that?
We got to deal with the rights holder. And we position FanFest as the best way for as something that they should bundle with their subscription, and is the best way for them to differentiate their service. And so that's exactly what we're talking to with most of the rights holders in the United States, some here in France. We actually were just accepted into another incubator here in France. That's
a key factor. If I cannot see your game, but I can see the game in your competitors, it's a lost battle, isn't it?
Not necessarily, because, for instance, one area that's gotten a lot of input, which relates to the live match and live content, is interactive press conferences. That's something that we're planning with a couple franchises right now in Spain, And so, ultimately what we're finding, there's a lot of video stuff, right? I mean, people are using Zoom for almost everything. It's the first time I've used StreamYard. A lot of video stuff. What's way harder are creating these experiences. There's a bit of a curve still in creating something compelling that people will pay for. And so that's where, again, we see FanFest really slotting in. I think some companies that you would consider competitors, they've actually reached out to us to power elements of FanFest, right? Whether it's ticketing, whether it's video streaming, whether it's content live streaming on the live streaming side, esports and integrations with Twitch, for instance, chat, polls. We're talking with another company around polling. And so ultimately, we're kind of a level up. There's a lot of these individual tools. What we find is they often require tons of integration, tons of net new dev work, et cetera, et cetera. What we're trying to do is abstract that all away. Hey, Arsenal, I'm a big Arsenal fan. Hey, Arsenal, you want to just click a couple buttons and create the ability for your fans to ask questions at a press conference?
Yeah.
Congratulations. You want to charge them $1 if they're not members? It's all built in. And from their perspective, they don't have to worry about how all that works and all the other kind of quote unquote plugins and underlying components. We're kind of an aggregator above that.
Now, Adam, from other startups listening to us and investors, first of all, can you share a little bit about, you raised some money. Did you fund it on your own? Did you find an investor? Is it your first startup? Tell us a little bit about your own background.
Yep. So from a company perspective, we are Techstars backed. We went through Techstars in 2019. Yeah. To date, we've raised just north of 300K. And we are in the process of raising a seed round, which will be a heterogeneous mix, I like to say, of very strategic angels and seed stage funds. From a history perspective, though, we're really proud of the investors that we have on deck. On the angel side, it's been a lot of former operators, which we're really happy about. And then on the team side, I met my co-founder back in 2015, which feels like ages ago. But ironically, we met building and launching a video streaming platform at that time for Verizon. It was kind of like Quibi 1.0. It's this thing called Go90, which was a great experience in learning what not to do in many ways. In terms of just raising a bunch of money, in their case, spending a bunch of money, but then still not having a ton of product market fit. So we've been kind of the exact opposite. We've been incredibly capital efficient as we've scaled FanFest. We landed PSG by, me crashing a Jersey launch event in Soho in New York City, meeting the head of Americas, who's now an advisor actually to FanFest.
Yeah.
And I know also involved in Hype. I know for the upcoming Accelerator, which everyone should apply to. Had a great experience. Now that we're really starting to see, I've built 99.9% of the product. So now that we're starting to see all this incoming demand, we think the time is really now to let's get some engineers. We have a couple. Let's bring them on full time. Let's get full time on the sales side and take it going.
So this is really impressive. With a very low amount of fundraising, you managed to establish quite a lot. Most of the startups needs a lot of capital to get where you are. Now, I have a question, interesting question, as far, at least for me. You've completed 2 accelerators, one Techstars and one with Hype. Yeah? Can you share what's the difference? I don't want to put any, Techstars is a great brand. But just for startup is now, if there is a startup now that thinks, should I go to Techstars or Hype? What would you say, from your own experience, what's the difference?
I'd say they were complementary in a bunch of ways. With Hype, we really saw that as a, one that was very sports vertical focused, obviously. And so we saw that as really a catalyst to kind of cut through the noise and get in front of decision makers very, very quickly. And lo and behold, in a week in June, we end up meeting 9 teams across the NFL, NBA, NHL, European football, global football, that, we were able to have an honest and frank conversation with FanFest at that stage, which actually, as you've identified, was very early. And so it was very efficient from a deal and pipeline perspective. Whereas I think Techstars is much more of a, the building blocks of building a company, I think, more broadly. Now, obviously there's overlap, right? Like you had many sessions around, everything from fundraising to hiring, sales and product, et cetera. But I think that's really where their emphasis is. From like one of the biggest things I took from Techstars at the time, again, we were much earlier, was the emphasis of, even when you are lean and even when you are early, beginning to, grow your, what was their term? Grow your flock or your crowd. Even people that you can't even hire today, get them in your orbit. Yeah, grow your orbit. Get in your orbit so that you have a relationship, and so that when you can hire them, you're already kind of in the game.
You're a network, yeah.
And so, yeah, but even beyond network, it's like literally the people you want to hire. Like when we raise, like I'm already talking to people that I can't even afford, even once we raise the seed. But I know I'm going to hire for Series A. I'm just going to throw money at them because I trust them and I know them and they've done great work, especially on the product side. And so that muscle was something that Techstars was really great at. And so I'd encourage everyone to apply to Techstars. I'd also encourage everyone, especially if you really want to move quickly and meet a lot of decision makers, which can be one of the hardest things of cutting deals with sports teams and to your point, broadcasters. How the hell are we going to get rights? Pardon my French. It's programs like Hype that begin to cut through the noise and say, hey, talk to Adam. We vetted him. He won't waste your time. And I think that's
so you just so people understand, you mentioned I would say you mentioned 8, 9 decision makers in clubs, federations around the world. What actually did you get out of the program? Like as they say, where we counting the money out of the when on the stairs, yeah. What actually came out of that tangible?
Yeah, so I think most tangible was going from one deal with PSG. We had an existing relationship with them. To 2, the number 1 ranked in the world Belgium Federation, which has been really, really successful. Been wonderful working with Manu. So that's very tangible. There are, I'd say, another 2 or 3.
These 2 are deals, yeah? They're not pilots, they're deals.
Oh, these are deals. These are done. Yeah. This is
so 2 deals.
Yeah, if I, again, apologies.
I'm biased by but I feel very proud.
Yeah, so that's very tangible. I would say there's another 3 or 4. It was more of a timing thing. And actually, there were a couple clubs that were waiting on improved mobile compatibility, which is now live. I say 80% of our traffic is now mobile. And now their seasons are coming back online. So I think the hype story is not done yet. I personally expect another at least 2 or 3 of your partners to convert over the next quarter, let's say.
Within, let's say, first year, you think you'll get about five clients out of that?
I think if past conversations are indicative of future performance, where again, really the milestone that they were waiting for was like, here was the actual quote from one of your partners. We want FanFest to be so easy that one of our members who's like 80 years old can just get a link, tap it on their phone, and it just pops up. And now that is the reality. And so where it wasn't quite in September. So, for clubs that have said that explicitly, we think, well, let's talk, so we'll see how that shakes out. But there's at least 2 or 3 that were in that bucket.
That's your first startup, Adam?
This is my first startup. Yep.
Wow. How old are you, if I may ask?
Too old. I've lost all my hair. I guess we're in the same boat.
You're not too old. What are you, 35? 30?
Oh, you're good guess. Just turned 35 and
35.
Indeed.
That's spot on. Great age.
Feeling old.
You have your scars already. You lost money for other people. Now you're about to do it right.
I like the from your lips to God's ears, as they say.
In Israel, they say that if you manage to blow up your investors' money, let's say I have a friend who raised $4 million and company went bust, he puts it then on the first thing on his CV. because I've learned the lesson. I'm ready now for the real McCoy.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, so it's your point. We've gotten our battle scars, but also still managed to move really, really quickly and capitalize on the opportunities this year. So, we see that certainly extending into 2021. So we're really excited about kind of the next wave.
All right, Adam, I think time is up, but I want to really acknowledge you for the way you took the opportunity. It's a cliche, crisis opportunity, but I saw what your team has done in the last 6, 10 months, and it's really incredible. For in a very short time, you managed to build a company, an asset. From all aspects, from the technology side, from the company side, from the team side, from the customer portfolio side. So really, proud of you and looking forward to see where you can get.
Yeah, no, one line, sure.
There is an old saying, we haven't got this far we haven't come this far to only come this far.
Exactly right. And I know we're wrapping up, but one of the biggest reasons we've managed, especially when I was cranking out code, getting ready for Hype and all these partners on demo day, one major contributor to success was actually my mom, who is also, so I've been in Europe since February, but she retired in France. And so she saw the sausage getting made. She saw the decision to make the sausage. And then, the environment was very COVID friendly, very remote, no distractions, very safe. And so that's where FanFest was born. And that's where Ryan and yourself got to see the initial iteration. So, it's really
great leadership by Ryan, of course, Ryan McCumber and the whole team around the Hype, around the Clubs of Federation, Accelerator, Vertical. So really great to have you here. Adam, this is just the beginning. I'm watching you.
Watching you too. No, man, appreciate the time. This has been great. It's always fun to kind of recap. We're always moving so fast, 1,000 miles of first direction. This has been a great.
Acknowledge your achievement, celebrate your achievement. Nothing to be taken for granted, and push on.
Appreciate it. Have a great day.